Welcome back to the Balance in Fitness. Now, with these YouTube videos, what we would like to do is take everyone with every video their next step closer to understanding the world around us, the way in which it's affecting our health, the way in which it's affecting the health of not only our bodies, but also our minds. Now, with each video, we want to be able to give you a snapshot of awareness. That's what this is all about. Bringing out your own awareness, your understanding of how to look after the food and health of your families, how to look after your own health, those of your husbands and wives, those of everyone around you. And that won't be done through the modern day marketing jargon of exactly which foods that you should eat, exactly this, exactly that. We need to step out of the modern day marketing jargon that funnels us into using some kind of service or some kind of product, some kind of powder or pill that's going to revolutionize how you can be healthy, even though we don't understand what health is, or we don't even understand the difference between a good food and a bad food, or a good product that we buy in the supermarket or a bad product. Without that kind of original awareness, you cannot look after yourself and your families. This is something that just won't happen. It's modern day marketing that tells us we've got the solution for you. We have everything packaged for you. You throw it in the pan, serve it to your children, and they're going to be healthy. This just doesn't happen. And if that were to be able to happen, that would be a disaster for our entire society. Because as we all know, one thing that we've begun to do is just follow whatever is put in front of our nose. We follow whatever's put in front of us. We get some kind of information coming through on an ad about this water or that coconut water, or eggs are bad for you, and then next year the eggs are good for you. Even to the point where we're told about a certain chemical and how bad it is in our foods, but actually the food industry or the company that is telling you this kind of information is not telling you for your health. It's because they've got something to give you that's all of a sudden going to turn you healthy, or all of a sudden going to let you step around that landmine. But what they're actually giving you is a product that is probably worse. Everyone who hasn't sat down and listened to the podcast that we've got, the Balance in Fitness podcasts, get in there and have a listen, because those podcasts expound on your awareness. They allow you to truly understand your awareness. This is what we're really having here. Now, you'll see that I'm in my kitchen. You can hear my son's budgies in the background. What the Balance in Fitness brings you is a family that has truly gone through all of the awareness building. I'm a personal trainer. I was 10 years, I had my own personal training company. I was in training for about 20 years. I was out of the industry, the personal training and fitness industry, over 15 years ago. And do you know something strange? It was when I stepped out of the industry that I actually started to know and see the truth about what was around me through my own research. All of these things bring out awareness. The Balance in Fitness is here to truly help you and your family come to the awareness that's going to build your health. It'll build your fitness. Like I said, I'm only back in training a few months, but the simple truths that I know now from so many years of overtraining, of following marketing, of following this bodybuilder and that body, which was the only thing that was leading my understanding, was the person's body. If that person had this kind of body, well, then they must know what they're talking about. But that's simply not the truth. The training that I show you, the information that I give you about food, what you see of my son, who you'll see in many videos, the information that you see in so many of the products, both in the podcasts and the videos. These are all going to bring you to a state of your own awareness. You truly become the person who knows what you're talking about. The other part is there's many of us that spend so long looking at information on the internet, but the internet is riddled with misinformation. Riddled. What we need are people that you can trust, have the experience in the industry, but also are not hoodwinked, even within the industry, by the kind of jargon and garbage that's pumped out there, and have a real, traditional, experienced understanding of food and fitness, health and family. That's what the Balance in Fitness is going to supply you. Now, for any of you that haven't already done it, the major mission for us to begin to be interactive, and this is what we are really looking at here on the Balance in Fitness. We want to be your every week personal training touch base about your families, about your children. How do you get your children eating properly? They're getting out of shape, but I don't even know why. I seem to be feeding them good things. It says all the good things on the label on the back. I do a bit of research, and this social media has told me that I seem to be doing the right thing. Or your own health is going downward. You seem to be putting on weight, but you don't know why. Or you might be a father, a man who wants to build up a bit of muscle. You want to get a bit fitter, but you don't have a hell of a lot of time. Like all of us don't have a hell of a lot of time. We want to be the touch base for you every week. We're going to do that on YouTube Live. You have to excuse my budgies in the back. I think they're getting excited because I am. We want to be that touch base. We want to be able to jump on YouTube Live with you. We'll have your questions coming through that you'll be typing through as you're watching us, and we'll answer them. We'll expound on so many things. Even you listening to what other people are asking and hearing me give the answers, that is worth its weight in gold, and it will come for nothing. All of this media allows us to be truly connected. And what we need now are people we can trust to be straight with us. This is what we really need. Now listen, press subscribe. We need to get to 100 subscribers minimum until YouTube lets us go live. So press subscribe. Please get on there onto the podcasts as well. We're on iTunes, Spotify, all the big ones. Just go and look for us, The Balance in Fitness. Subscribe. Once our subscribership goes up, I will let you guys know my first live YouTube session, which is going to be magnificent. So we're inviting all of you to be with me. We will just yak back and forth. There are so many things for us to talk about, and each of you have your own circumstances. Now listen, today what I'd like to do is give you a quick blip in the kitchen. This is my family's kitchen. Maybe a little bit cleaner than normal, but this is my family's kitchen. I've got my fridge right here, and I wanted to show you something that's really important, especially if you're a mum that's buying all your food in a hurry from the supermarket, like my wife still does sometimes, and you look on the front and you think, oh, wow, organic. I'm definitely going to buy all organic. But foods are not just foods anymore. You must understand that the marketing industry, that is a company that uses big money to market their products, they don't even have to use big money. The style in which they market is so wrought with half-truths, damn lies, misleading information, and there are so many reasons why. Get into my podcast, The Balance in Fitness. You will see and hear every week all the information that you need to start to build your own awareness and get you doing the right things. It's not about spending forever. It's about adjusting the things you do to truly bring health to yourself and your families. Now let's have a look in the fridge. Now, here's a really good one. We've got 2 yogurts in the fridge. Okay, we've got 2 yogurts. Now, one of them should have been finished before the other one started, but That's neither here nor there. So we've got two different brands of yogurt. Now, you guys can't particularly see what they are, but let's have a look at the two of them. I'll speak candidly from a personal trainer's point of view, from a person who has done more than enough research now to understand between what's healthy for a person and what's not, and why. Let's just have a look at the first one. Now, this one on the back, when you look at the ingredients, and there's nothing more important than looking at the ingredients, but I have to say this, until you spend a bit of time with us, you're not going to really be aware of what you're looking at, because you yourself don't have the time. And it's true. It's true. A lot of us don't have the time or the experience background, even if we do the research, take the time to do the research, to truly see what's true and not. Because the internet is just like this big labyrinth of both garbage and some good things. So let's have a look at this. Now, on the back here, it says, this is touted to be an organic product, okay? And I'm going to speak a little bit about this kind of thing, especially when it's in your supermarkets. Even some of the health shops now, what they're actually using as a health product is definitely not healthy, and I'll explain why. Now, this one here says organic milk solids, live culture. Now, you may think to yourself, well, that's all good. I didn't hear any preservatives. I didn't hear, any of the nasty chemicals that they normally use, or that a lot of them use. That's true. But have a think about it. Milk or yogurt is made from milk. That's what it's made of. That's what it's made from. Now, one of the tricks that the production companies have used is to take a product, now that everyone's understanding organic food, and that organic food is what we always used to have. It was never called organic back then. But now that we're understanding that so many of the foods grown or produced by the processing plants out there are really bad for our bodies. And anything that's bad for your body is definitely going to have an effect on your mind, because everything that goes through you in your circulatory system goes through that brain of yours, especially things like coffee or energy drinks or all this kind of garbage. These things, and none of you stop watching because I said coffee's bad. You better get to the Balance in Fitness podcast, have a listen about coffee. If you'll notice, we have a coffee machine. So don't freak out. It's okay. Now, get to the Balance in Fitness podcast, have a really good listen about coffee, and understand where coffee is good, where it's bad, and how to have it in a way that it can still give you the kind of things that you want, and you'll take a step forward in awareness so you don't make yourself ill because of this product. Now, getting back to our yogurt, one of the things that's really important to understand is that when you look at a product, the healthiest product is the one that is just made from raw essential ingredients. Raw essential ingredients. With dairy products, it's milk. Milk that has been used, taken, whipped up, and done very minimal to in order to create a product. So whenever any of you are thinking about dairy products like yogurt and cheese, etc., you will find that the most expensive products are the ones that have the shortest ingredient list. The most expensive usually have the shortest ingredient list, because they're not trying to fill their food with excess cheap garbage, so that what they make as a product is this much amazing product, in other words, raw essential ingredient, like milk, or in this case, organic milk, and then they fill up the rest of this bulk of what you buy, which may be yogurt, with the cheapest of stuff that they can use. Now, they do this so that when they wrap up their product in some highly ingenious, attractive to the eye marketing, what they're actually giving you is a product that is 25% goodness, another 15% that's not too bad, and the rest of it is just the garbage that you get in normal processed foods. The other thing is they take, and I'll give example after example every week, the processing factories now realize that they're on the way down. Processed foods are definitely on the way down because it's killing us. It's diseasing us. It's making our bodies dysfunctional. All of these liver problems and pituitary gland problems and all of these strange kind of things that we're having in the last 60 years are in complete concurrence with the fact that our governments have allowed processed foods to ramp up through the roof. They've allowed marketing to be pummeled upon us in ways that are rank, and I mean rank, half-truths and garbage. They use every kind of vain or every kind of horrific thing to grab onto some of our worst attachments as human beings, our worst attachments and character traits, to excite us into a product, make it seem like it's awesome because of the body they use or the notoriety person that they've used to give a statement, or the doctor said this or the scientist said that. We must become aware of this now, and we must become aware for our families. Now, with this particular yogurt, why do you think they're using not only organic milk, then they say organic milk solids, which is milk dehydrated to the maximum, heated, pummeled, basically processed so that it's got a fraction actually of its natural matrix of that original product. The matrix of a product is very much like the matrix of our bodies. If you take out a certain amount of water from your body, much less than what it normally should have, you will be one sick puppy. That's a fact. The same is true with any living organism that you can call our food, whether it be milk, whether it be a piece of fruit, or a seed, or a nut, or a grain, or a vegetable. You take away the living matrix that it naturally has. The more you take away from it by heating it, squashing it, freezing it, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, the less nutrient that food will have. And not only that, we all know now that when you heat something to a very high degree, it will mutate and change and damage a lot of the molecular structure of that food. That's why we get all kinds of carcinogens in our food. Talking about that, milk solids, because the way they take this organism, milk, this food that has its natural raw state matrix, the way they treat it mutates it. The reason why people talk about just the amount of carbohydrate and protein, why processing factories only talk about protein and carbohydrates in a food, or that's their main thinking, is because that's all that's bloody left. When you bastardize a food, when you take something and you just destroy its natural matrix, what's left is byproduct. Milk solids are this byproduct. Now, regardless of how people want to talk about how important protein is, protein, as you'll find out on the Balance and Fitness podcast, was a word that was made by a couple of scientists, I think back in, I think it was 1836. And all of the other scientists around those guys were saying to them, why would you bother giving this one pathetic little thing a name? They understood back then, they had the foresight to look at the matrix of a food. That's what the scientists back then were looking at. But as soon as they started wanting to process foods so that they could take something which has a very natural short shelf life, take it, do something to it which makes them able to package it, send it around the world, or send it for weeks to even get somewhere on the shopping centre or on the food market's stock shelves, and then sits there for up to a year, up until we buy it. Think about it. Of course it's garbage. Of course it's something that has no nutrient in it. That's why. It's because they made squillions out of us eating this stuff. And now that's all we know how to eat. That's what we think is food. So that kind of refreshing awareness allows you to realize that it's been 60 years of this marketing. It's been 60, actually it's been well beyond that, about 120 years of this processed foods. So let's take it one step further. In the modern day, because processing foods has been taken on by so many people, not just big companies, but also much smaller people, even like myself, who know that with a certain packaging, with a certain amount of money, they can take a product and really drive it into the supermarkets, and they themselves, or I myself, can make a lot of money out of it. We are inundated with all kinds of products. So this awareness you must take on. Take it on as gospel. This is the kind of thing that has been killing us and our children, making us sick, making us weak. We think that we're getting stronger just by government standards telling us that we live longer, but we all know now that's absolutely not the truth. We are the sickest nations on earth, especially the Western nations. And now even the beautiful European and Asian nations are taking on this kind of westernized way of eating because of marketing. Marketing. If you listen to the Balance in Fitness podcast, you'll find out where marketing began, how it was an abomination of thinking, and that even Hitler and his right-hand man scientists took it on because they proved that they could brainwash us, the societal people, just by pummeling us with the same information again and again. Come to the Balance in Fitness. We'll let you know what things are about. So getting back to the yogurt, why do you think a product that is not much more expensive than another yogurt that's on the shelf, or it may even be the same cost, is going to put organic milk solids, and milk solids to make yogurt? Well, milk solids, they're another serious abomination. Organic milk solids, think about it. Just because the food is organic, when you take that organic food and do all of that processing to it, do you really think it's any different than a non-organic product? You've taken that organic product, you've bled the life out of it, so now it's a powder that can sit on a shelf for donkey's years, and you've stuck it into a yogurt. That's it. So let's have a look at the marketing concept. We're going to take a product and we want to market to this huge wave of organic, non-GMO, probiotic, this, that, and everything else. We want to get onto this wave because we know it can make us plenty of money, but we want to make a product that's not truly healthy, but we want to market it as an organic product. Why is this product able to be sold as organic, even though not all of the products in it are genuinely organic? I've just explained why. This kind of concept is used rampantly in marketing and in the processing food industry now. So don't get fooled. Raw products are absolutely the best. They have the least ingredient list. Now, let's have a look at that. This didn't have chemicals in it, did it? But is it good for you? No. To be quite honest with all of you, it's not good for you. There is more than enough out there telling us that milk solids are an abomination with all kinds of hideous cholesterol problems. They ramp up blood pressure. Think what that does to your children. Right, so you're coming home with a product from the supermarket. You think you're doing the right thing because it says organic. Your kids love it because it's full of sweetener as well. So let's have a look at yogurt number 2. Now, just at this point, we've had more than a breath of awareness. We understand more clearly about what is in our environment. Our environment is no longer the trees and the animals and the birds and the ways of nature that we all had to deal with in the past. Our environment is simply riddled with marketing, riddled with schemes, riddled with issues, riddled with deceptions. We're going to make our way around those deceptions, both for our own health and our children's health. Now, let's have a look at this one. Ingredients: pasteurized whole milk, cream, fruit juice concentrate, and then the usual acidophilus ingredients. Now, pasteurized whole milk, cream, fruit juice concentrate. Which would you think is the better product? Now, either way, we can go to extremes and think to ourselves, well, because this one's not organic, it's got to be the worst product. That's what we can think to ourselves for sure. And it may be the truth, because this one has fruit juice concentrate. Where that fruit juice concentrate comes from, we don't know. They don't actually tell us on this. There is hideous fruit juice concentrates coming in from China that are just scary. Fruit juice concentrate in and of itself is scary. The way that you take the natural matrix of a food like fruit and you do the same kind of dehydration processes, and goodness knows what else they're able to do to it to make it into this horrific concentrate syrup that you can just ship all over the world. Think about that. Think about it. And then they stick it into a yogurt so that once again, they can use a good quality product for their main product, or this one didn't even use it for its main product. It used it for a slight portion of the main product, and then it just went straight into the hideous stuff with the powdered abominations. This one, it's fruit juice concentrate. Now, fruit juice concentrate in and of itself is just, it's a hideous thing. And a lot of the fruit juices, especially the kids ones, this is where I'm saying our children are the biggest targets for the processing food industry. The biggest targets, our children. When we bring up families that literally are unhealthy from day dot, what are we doing? By the time they're adults, they have issues, major problems, health issues. These kinds of rampant syrups and sugars and chemicals running through their minds every day, all day, forms their character. They can't settle down. Their thinking goes to extremes with everything. This is where we must become aware as parents. We must become aware as young adults. This is where so many of the problems are coming from in our society. And we did it to ourselves. Our lack of awareness allowed for all of this to happen. Now, 2 yogurts that any of you that go to the supermarket would probably think are healthy. Well, think again. Now, we've got them in our fridge. You might be thinking, well, why have you got it in your fridge if it's not healthy? This is where the balance comes into play. In our family, we have organic fruit and vegetables. In our family, we make sure that we eat vegetables every day. My son begins his day with fruit. He gets home from school and he has fruit for afternoon tea. When he eats food, most of the food that he gets is of very high quality. What you see here, I think this one's been in the fridge for about 2.5 weeks. This one was a new one that I bought actually for you, to show you what goes into what is said to be an organic food. These things were made or were put into our fridge, and they're something that we rarely eat. We don't eat a lot of yogurt because we know we don't need to. The strength of this body, my wife's body and my son's body, comes from fruit and vegetables mainly. We know that. We don't live just on fruit and vegetables, but we're aware enough to know that they are the powerhouse. Now, these foods, my son might eat that once a week at the most, My wife, probably less, and me even less than that. The Balance in Fitness today, I hope, has brought you one step closer to awareness. I hope it's brought you an understanding of the environment around you and how it's not good for you. Not everything that we see is good for you, but we're going to make our way around those landmines. Please press subscribe. I'm going to be with you every week. That's what it's about now. Every week. And as soon as we get to 100 subscribers, we're live together. You ask me a question, I'll know it. I'm truly experienced in this industry. But on top of that, I have 15 years outside of the jargon of the industry to understand what's truly healthy, both for myself and my family. And that's a balance. Being with the family in this kind of environment and helping everything to be healthy, it truly is a balance. You've got so many areas to keep in check. Sometimes you dip down a little with junk food because it's holidays, you know what I mean? But there's nothing wrong with that. That's the kind of balance we'll learn together. I'm Michael Anderson. Thank you very much for being on the Balance and Fitness YouTube. See you soon.